Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Millennium TV News. This is Isha Jahan with the top stories. Sanders takes aim at rivals in battle for New York. Trump, the system is corrupt. Clinton, women, minorities don't deserve to be cheated. U.S. Navy officer charged with spying possibly for China, Taiwan. Residents return to Ramadi, Syria. Viewers, now the detail. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders takes aim at his rivals in both parties Sunday as he campaigns in New York ahead of a key primary April 19th.
And then on top of that, as you know, Secretary Clinton.
Democratic presidential candidate Sen Bernie Sanders continued to take aim at his rivals in both parties Sunday as he campaigned in New York ahead of a key primary on April 19th. He continued to focus on his indifferences between himself and Democratic rival Hillary Clinton, including her support for the Iraq War. She voted for that war, the worst foreign policy blunder in the modern history of this country. Sanders also took aim across the aisle, reporting supporters, "There is concern that Donald Trump might become president of the United States. It ain't going to happen. The American people who will not elect a candidate who every day insults Latinos and Mexicans, who insults Muslims and Islam, who insults women, who insults African Americans," Sanders said.
Insults Latinos and Mexicans, who insults Muslims and Islam, who insults women, who insults African Americans.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump complains about the delegate voting process and says we are supposed to be a democracy.
So I watch Bernie, he wins, he keeps winning. And then I see he's got no chance. They always say he has no chance. Why doesn't he have a chance?
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump took a swipe in the U.S. election process at a campaign rally in Rochester, New York on Sunday, where he said the delegate process was not fair. While frontrunner Donald Trump was amassed a delegate lead by winning many state councils, rival Ted Cruz has proved tenacious in pursuit of every last delegate available in other means. Cruz's campaign has worked hard in states where the delegate allocation process is more complex, such as Colorado, where the U.S. Senator from Texas garnered 34 delegates on Saturday.
We're supposed to be, you vote and the vote means something, all right? You vote and the vote means something.
Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton renews call for equal pay of women, saying, "We need to be paid so that we can pull our own weight." Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton made a campaign stop in Baltimore, Maryland on Sunday, where flanked by Democratic members of Congress, she made a call for equal pay for women's work. "Nobody wants to see them cheated out of what they deserve when it comes to time for being paid," Clinton told voters. "And the last time I checked, you don't get a women's discount when you check out at the supermarket." As a rival for the U.S. Democratic presidential nomination racked up another victory, frontrunner Hillary Clinton on Sunday is trying to ramp up
58 cents on the
support.
dollar. Or you're a Latino woman, you only have to pay 58 cents on the dollar. That doesn't happen. We need to be paid so that we can pull our own weight.
A U.S. Navy officer with access to sensitive U.S. intelligence faces espionage charges over accusations he passed state secrets, possibly to China and Taiwan, a U.S. official told media on Sunday. The official, speaking on condition of anonymity, identified the suspect as Lieutenant Commander Edward Lin, who was born in Taiwan and later became a naturalized U.S. citizen, according to a Navy profile written about him in 2008. A redacted Navy charge sheet said the suspect was assigned to the headquarters for the Navy Patrol and Reconnaissance Group, which oversees intelligence collection activities. The charge sheet redacted out of the name of suspect, and the Navy declined to prove details of his identity. It accused him twice of communicating secret information and 3 times of attempting to do to a representative of a foreign government with intent or reason to believe it would be used to the advantage of a foreign nation. Thousands of families have started returning to Ramadi in Syria several months after Islamic State militants were driven out. Tribal sheikhs lead groups of Iraqi families returning to the city of Ramadi, singing "God is great." They hope to encourage more people to return home. It's been several months since Iraqi troops backed by the U.S. forces drove out Islamic State militants. Residents couldn't return as streets and buildings were booby-trapped with bombs. Ramadi was touted as the first major success for Iraq's army since it collapsed in the face of Islamic State's advance across the country. Nearly 500,000 people had fled their homes in the city. Viewers, despite tourism plunge, Egypt optimistic. Royals after condolences to India fire victims. Aleppo erupts. Chaos on the Greece-Macedonia border. Nearly 80 dead in India temple fire. Viewers, let's move to the next news. Egypt has high hopes tourism will recover despite falling by 40% in the first quarter. It was through these images of a downed Russian jetliner in the Sinai last October that raised concerns about Egypt's state of security. All 224 people on the plane died in the crash, which Islamic State claimed responsibility for. And since then, Egypt's tourism industry has taken a hit. Egyptian Tourism Minister Yahya Rashid saying, while the tourism revenue numbers got off a grim start in 2016, there's reason to be optimistic.
First quarter last year. Quarter to quarter, we're down 40%. However, there is a positive on every negative, you know. The Gulf business is up about 45% from last year.
Okay, so while the total business is down 40%, the Gulf is up 45%. So that invites us to talk about the importance of the Gulf tourism into Egypt. Prince William and his wife Kate offered their condolences to the victims of a massive temple fire in India's southern state of Kerala. British royal couple Prince William and his wife Kate started off their weekend tour of India on a more serious note during a Bollywood story in Mumbai Sunday evening. Prince William turned his attention away from the evening's pomp and circumstances to a fire at a Hindu temple in Kerala state that left at least 100 dead.
Before I begin, Catherine and I would like to offer our condolences to all those affected by the terrible fire at the temple in Kollam.
More than 380 were injured in a blaze that saw thousands packed into a temple for a fireworks display to usher in a local Hindu New Year.
New amateur video appears to show rebel groups who claim to be fighting Syrian army forces in an Aleppo suburb. With peace talks due to resume in Geneva this week, the scene on the ground in Syria is anything but peaceful. New amateur video appeared to show rebel groups battling Syrian army forces outside Aleppo. The city is under the sights of the Russian Air Force and the Syrian military, according to reports. The Syrian Prime Minister was quoted saying the forces were preparing a joint operation to take Aleppo. The statement comes as an opposition official said a ceasefire was on the verge of collapsing. Both sides have blamed the other for the breaches. This upsurging in fighting in Aleppo marks the most significant challenge yet to be dealt. Doctors say hundreds of migrants are being treated for injuries after clashes broke out between migrants and Macedonia border forces. The Greece-Macedonia border became a battlefield on Sunday. Migrants trying to break through the border fence threw rocks, and Macedonia police responded with tear gas, rubber bullets and stun grenades. Jonas Hagenson with Doctors Without Borders said they treated some 200 people for injuries.
We had around 34 trauma patients. We also had some people come in with the body pains, bruises that they claim were from beatings.
The clashes come after weeks of simmering tensions. The migrants have been stranded here in Idomeni since February after officials closed the borders throughout the Balkans. One migrant who did not want his face shown said the use of force by the border forces worsened the situation.
It was not gradual. They used it all immediately, one after another, and this caused negative reaction from the protesters and angered them and enraged them.
Greek officials condemned the use of force by Macedonian police as deplorable and extremely dangerous, but also reminded migrants that the borders were closed and would remain that way for the foreseeable future.
Almost 80 people were killed and more than 200 injured when a fireworks display ignited a stockpile of additional fireworks at a temple in Kerala. Bulldozers worked to clear rubble from a collapsed temple in southern India. Almost 80 people were killed and more than 200 injured in an overnight explosion during a fireworks display in Kerala. Officials said the injured were being treated at local hospitals.
We are giving all support to the injured people. Here at about 83 injured people are admitted in the Trivandrum Medical College.
The fire started during a fireworks display for the Hindu New Year when one of the crackers landed on a shed containing a stockpile of additional fireworks. Taking a swap at those protesting the government's move to construct coal-based power plants, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on Sunday said some people have a bizarre imagination about coal and coal-based power plants, which have already led to the loss of few lives. Some people of this country have some bizarre imaginations. I don't know how this crosses their minds, but some lives have been unnecessarily lost for the imaginary talks. I have no idea what's the motive behind this, she said, pointing to a recent incident taken place in Bhangshali. Chittagong had left 4 people dead. The Prime Minister said this while inaugurating the newly constructed Dhaka Central Jail in Kiraniganj on the outskirts of the capital with better facilities for inmates. She said in a section of people that these days come up to protest in the name of protecting the government while the government wants to produce more electricity through constructing power plants. BNP chairperson Khaleda Zia has greeted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on the occasion of Pohela Boishakh. A 4-member delegation led by Abdul Khair Bhuyan handed over the greeting card to the Awami League Chief Thanmondi office on behalf of the BNP chief. Awami League Office Secretary Abdul Sobhan Gulab accepted the card. The other members of the BNP delegations are its Assistant Office Secretary Abdul Latif Jani, Arshadul Karim Shaheen and Mohila Dal's General Secretary Shirin Sultana. 57% child laborers are beaten up in the workplaces in the country. Moreover, 46% child laborers are behaved badly. Those who work as housemaids, 66% of them are tortured mentally and 7% of them are raped, according to the study report of Nielsen. The report conducted by the Nielsen company was revealed at the CDEP auditorium on Sunday. A day to remember those who are gone and play with those who are alive in Britain's Duke and Duchess of Cambridge launched week-long tour of India, culminating in trip to the Taj Mahal. Their first day at a week-long tour of India started off on a somber note as the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge paid tribute to the victims of the 2008 Mumbai attack. The royal couple left a handwritten note describing the more than 160 people were killed at the iconic Taj Mahal Palace Hotel at senseless atrocities. They took a turn to the city with a visit with the slums of Mumbai, where they played soccer and cricket with unprivileged youth. Indian cricket star Sachin Tendulkar says their presence meant the world to the children.
What a fantastic experience it was to meet the Duke and the Duchess, and a remarkable couple. Made us feel so comfortable and really humble, very, very simple. And the causes, noble causes that they are supporting all over the world. I think that shows what kind of heart they have, and they feel for less fortunate ones.
Prince William and Kate Middleton's tour brings back the memory of William's late mother, Princess Diana, adored by many in India. While they are due to meet with Bollywood stars and have a lunch with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, they will round out their trip paying tribute at the Taj Mahal. It's a place Prince Charles has avoided in recent years, but the royal couple are reported to have said they cannot wait to see it.
Leading Peruvian presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori casts her vote in Lima in Sunday's presidential election. Peru's leading presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori cast her vote in the Andean country's presidential election in Lima on Sunday. Fujimori is favored to win Sunday's first-round presidential election, though she is not expected to exceed the 50% mark needed to win outright and avoid a June runoff. The U.S.-educated former congresswoman has worked to distance herself from her father, imprisoned former President Alberto Fujimori, after she lost the 2011 election. The center-right politician, she was vowed to preserve democracy and keep 25 years of free market policies intact. Ukrainian Prime Minister Arseniy Yatsenyuk tendered his resignation Sunday, a move likely to delay the disturbance of aid under a $17.5 billion bailout. Arseniy Yatsenyuk blamed his resignation Sunday on what he called an artificially created politics crisis.
The process of changing the government has turned into mindless running on the spot.
Yatsenyuk emerged as prime minister in February 2014 after the ousting of then-President Viktor Yanukovych. But now, after months of political fighting and corruption allegations, the current ruling coalition has fractured and the disbursement of aid under $17.5 billion bailout program is likely to be delayed. In February, President Petro Poroshenko publicly urged the prime minister to resign. Yatsenyuk says the formation of a new government is the only way forward.
We cannot allow for the destabilization of the executive branch of power during a war. Such a prospect is inevitable unless, immediately after this resignation, the new government of Ukraine is formed.
In his address, he signaled support for parliamentary speaker and presidential ally Volodymyr Groysman to take his place.
G7 foreign ministers visit UNESCO Heritage Shrine in Japan before their working dinner session. The foreign ministers of the group of 7 industrialized nations took a break from their working day on Sunday to visit the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Ichigoshima Shrine, known for its float shrine grid. The shrine, located off the islands above the Japan Seto Inland Sea on seals at high tide. The island is located an hour away by boat from the city of Hiroshima, where the G7 foreign ministers meeting was taking place earlier on Sunday, and also the venue of the working dinner of the ministers. Japan's Foreign Minister Fumio Kishida, who presides over the 2-day annual meeting for this year and is a native of Hiroshima City, said earlier on Sunday that they will be discussing anti-terrorism steps, maritime security and the issues related to North Korea, Ukraine and the Middle East. A SpaceX resupply shipment arrives at the International Space Station carrying food, equipment and experiments for the astronauts. A SpaceX cargo ship arrived on the International Space Station on Sunday carrying food and supplies for astronauts. The cargo ship that lifted off on Friday, a capsule dubbed Dragon, was bolted on Sunday morning by the $100 billion laboratory flying about 250 miles above the Earth. Dragon was packed with about 7,000 pounds of food, supplies and experiments, including a prototype inflatable habitat. Built by the Nevada-based Bigelow Aerospace, the lightweight fabric habitat will be tested to see how it compares with more traditional orbiting enclosures made from metal in the hostile environment of space. The U.S. Space Agency is interested in expandable habitats to serve as crew living quarters during eventual 3-year trip to and from Mars.
Capture confirmed of the International Space Station. So with Dragon's arrival,
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits the Hindu temple ravaged by massive fire in Kerala state. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew in with a team of doctors to help Kerala state authorities cope with the deadly temple fire. So far, at least 100 are dead and more than 380 are injured. Thousands had packed into the Puttingal Devi temple for a fireworks display to mark the start of a local Hindu New Year. A loose firecracker then sparked a string of powerful explosions that residents blew off the roof part of the temple and caused another building to collapse. Victims were taken to a local hospital where Modi also visited. Modi has faced public criticism in the past for failing to respond quickly to disasters. Local leaders have already called for a swift investigation. Pope Francis calls for the release of hostages in war zones, making a special appeal for an Indian priest who was abducted in Yemen last month to be freed. Pope Francis appealed to the abductors to conflict zones to free their hostages as he conducted Sunday prayers in the Vatican. Large crowds were gathered at St. Peter's Square for the Pope's Regina Caeli prayer, which in the Catholic Church Easter period replaces the usual Angelus prayer. Addressing the crowds from the window of the papal apartment, Francis made an appeal for the release of the hostages in war zones and specifically called for the release of an Indian priest who was taken hostage by gunmen in Yemen last month. Father Tom Uzhunalil was captured from the southern Yemeni city of Aden by gunmen who killed at least 15 people at an old people's home.
In particolare desidero ricordare il sacerdote salesiano Tom Uzhunalil, rapito ad Aden, nello Yemen, il 4 marzo scorso.
Russian skiers hit the slopes of Sochi at swimwear, attempting to break a world record. Hundreds of skiers wearing bikinis and colorful costumes try to break a Guinness World Record in Sochi, Russia. Spring-like temperatures helped motivate participants in scantily clad outfits. Local media say about 1,000 people participated. The current record is held by 2013 ski parade in Sheregesh, Russia, with 500 participants. EU ministers visit a migrant camp in Greece and say they are confident the EU-Turkey deal will improve soon. Ministers from France, Italy and Netherlands and other EU countries toured a migrant reception center in Greece Saturday. They were there to assess the progress of an EU plan to stem the influx of migrants into Europe. The controversial deal will see all the migrants who entered Greece illegally after March 20th and who did not apply for asylum turn to Turkey. The EU will give them Turkey money and visa-free travel and will progress in the EU membership negotiations. Greek officials have said the program needs about 1 or 2 weeks before the real results are seen.
This particular center houses some 1,600 people. About half are children. Dutch Foreign Minister Bert Koenders said he's relatively optimistic about the plan's success.
It's difficult for all the people here because, of course, they still have to wait for the asylum procedure, but everybody gets one, so that is, I think, very positive.
The ministers are scheduled to visit Turkey later on Sunday.
Viewers side say they will observe ceasefire despite reports of pockets of fighting in hours leading up to it.
Sana'a is one of the oldest cities in the world, and it's been in Houthi rebel hands for more than a year and a half. People here and right across Yemen have borne the brunt of the civil war, and while they may have different allegiances, many in Yemen are united in their desire for peace.
We're for peace. We support a ceasefire resolution in every way. A ceasefire is what the Yemeni people want, but we need commitments that everybody abides by.
We want a ceasefire that will last forever, not just a few days.
The uprising by the Houthi movement started in the north and has been going on for years. But this latest conflict began in September 2014 when Houthi rebels swept into the capital Sana'a. They forced out Yemen's internationally recognized government led by President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi and have been fighting to expand their territory ever since. UN-sponsored talks to end the fighting are due to start in Kuwait on the 18th of April, but Yemen's conflict will be complex to unravel. The Shia Houthi rebels are backed by supporters of the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh and have the support of Iran. They've been fighting forces loyal to Yemen's president. He has the backing of Sunni tribes and a coalition of 9 Arab states led by Saudi Arabia. The Saudi-led coalition launched airstrikes in March last year when Houthi fighters tried to move on the port city of Aden. But there are other groups in the mix. Mostly secular nationalists in the south wish to break away from the north. There's Al-Qaeda, which has taken advantage of instability to grow in strength. And then there's a Yemen affiliate of ISIL. It emerged in late 2014, looking to eclipse Al-Qaeda. But no side has come close to winning Yemen's war. Houthi rebels still hold the capital and 8 of Yemen's 22 provinces. A year of airstrikes hasn't managed to break their hold. And all this has come with a heavy human cost. The UN says that more than 6,000 people have been killed since airstrikes began. Around half of them were civilians and almost 1,000 were children. People were starving well before the Houthi rebellion. Now more than 80% of Yemen's 24 million people need humanitarian aid. The UN accuses both of the main players of atrocities and targeting civilians. In the absence of a military solution, there are growing calls for a mediated end to the conflict. But peace efforts have failed before.
Concerns over Monday's referendum in the Darfur region are throwing the peace progress there is in doubt.
Fruits and vegetables, every color of the rainbow. The offerings in this market are as diverse as the people of Darfur. In April, voters will decide between two options: keep Darfur carved up into 5 states as the government wants, or make this area the size of France one region.
Long ago, we had one region and we didn't have any services. Since we had the 5 states established, the services are better.
This will not rupture the people, it will bring people together.
In 2003, armed rebels from non-Arab tribes said they were fed up with the more ethnically Arab federal government turning its back on the area and neglecting its development. The violence became a genocide. The UN estimates as many as 300,000 people may have died, including from disease and malnutrition. More than 2.6 million people have been displaced. Since 2011, Darfur has been comprised of 5 states in a temporary compromise between the government and some rebel groups. Now, after several years of delays, the people will weigh in. Walking around the market, it was hard to find someone who wants Darfur to become one region.
For security reasons, for our welfare, it's important for us to be one.
Opposition parties and a number of rebel groups agree and are boycotting the referendum. Galal Yusuf with the Sudanese Congress Party says the election is a formality and the government will get what it wants, permanently making Darfur 5 states, splitting it along ethnic lines.
This will increase the division of the country the same way that they did for the South. We are expecting it to happen in the West. After some time, probably the West will ask for self-determination.
But the governor of North Darfur squashes that notion.
There is not a single state in Darfur based on ethnic background. There are no other motives other than to provide better services for the people.
The referendum comes as fighting has displaced an additional 100,000 people since January. A chasm clearly persists between the government and the disparate rebel groups, making peace a distant prospect. Natasha Ghanem, Al Jazeera, North Darfur State, Sudan.
Viewers, now the business news. President Barack Obama will meet with U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen on Monday to discuss the economy and Wall Street reform, the White House said on Sunday. Vice President Joe Biden will also attend the meeting. The president and the federal chairman meet regularly to discuss economic issues. Obama has presided over a steady economic and jobs recovery since the 2008 financial crisis and is nearing his end of his term in office. The federal has signaled it will exercise caution on interest rate increases because of the concern over the global economy after implementing its first rate rise in almost a decade in December. The International Monetary Fund said on Sunday that a move to negative rates by some of the world's central banks would help deliver extra monetary stimulus and ease standing conditions. 6 of the world's central banks have introduced negative rates, most notably the Bank of Japan and European Central Bank, and around a quarter of the world's economy by output is now experiencing official rates that are less than zero. They have achieved this by cutting deposit rates into negative territory, ranging from -5 basis points in Hungary to -125 basis points in Sweden, essentially a tax on deposits. Although the experience with negative nominal interest rates is limited, we tentatively conclude that overall they will all deliver additional monetary stimulus and easier financial conditions, which support demand and price stability. The IMF's financial counselor and director of monetary and capital markets, Joe Vinals, wrote in a research paper. The Bank of Italy is carrying out an on-site inspection at the Italian offices of Bank of China Limited, a Chinese state-owned bank already facing accusations of aiding illicit money flows from Italy to China, our source familiar with the situation said. Italian prosecutors are seeking to bring 297 people, mostly Chinese, as well as the Milan branch of Bank of China, to trial to add charges of allegedly smuggling more than 4.5 billion euros into China between 2006 and 2010. A judge in Florence is in the process of deciding whether they should be indicated and face the trial. Part of the probe, codenamed River of Money, focuses on the relationship between Bank of China and defunct Chinese money transfer operator Money to Money, which used to dominate the market for Chinese remittances from Italy, a prosecutor's document reviewed by media shows. Viewers, now the science, technology and environment news. government and auto giants Toyota Motor Corporation, Nissan Motor Corporation will join in an effort to develop intelligent maps by 2018, the Nickel Daily said, as competition heats up to improve the technology key for autonomous driving. Japanese automakers, map-making companies and the government will get together to generate standardized intelligent maps with plans to incorporate driving data gathered by the automakers, the paper said on Sunday. A Toyota spokesman declined to comment while officials at Nissan could not be reached immediately for comment. Intelligent mapping systems supply information to control self-driving cars which are equipped with street scanning sensors to measure traffic and road conditions. The parent company of the British newspaper The Daily Mail is in talks with several private equity firms about the possible bid for Yahoo Corporation, the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday. Daily Mail and General Trust plc's potential bid could take one of the two firms according to the report, citing people familiar with the matter. In one scenario, a private equity partner could acquire Yahoo's core web business and with the Mail taking over the news and media properties. In the other scenario, the private equity firm could acquire Yahoo's core web business and merge its media and news properties with the Mail's online operation. The merged units would form a new company that would be run by the Mail and give a larger equity stake to the Mail's parent company that under the first scenario, according to Wall Street Journal reports. Scientists in Brazil have uncovered a new brain disorder associated with Zika infections in adults, an autoimmune syndrome called acute disseminated encephalomyelitis or ADEM that attacks the brain and spinal cord. Zika has already been linked with the autoimmune disorder Guillain-Barré syndrome, which attacks peripheral nerve outside the brain and spinal cord, causing temporary paralysis that can in some cases require patients to rely on respirators for breathing. The new discovery now shows Zika may provoke an immune attack on the central nervous system as well. The findings add to the growing list of neurological damage associated with Zika. According to the World Health Organization, there is a strong scientific consensus that in addition to the Guillain-Barré, Zika can cause the birth defect microcephaly, though conclusive proof may take months or years. EU ministers visit a migrant camp in Greece and say they are confident the EU-Turkey deal will improve soon. Ministers from France, Italy and Netherlands and other EU countries toured a migrant reception center in Greece Saturday. They were there to access the progress of an EU plan to stem the influx of migrants into Europe. The controversial deal will see all the migrants who entered Greece illegally after March 20th and who did not apply for asylum turn to Turkey. The EU will give them Turkey money and visa-free travel and will progress in the EU membership negotiations. Greek officials have said the program needs about 1 or 2 weeks before the real results are seen.
This particular center houses some 1,600 people. About half are children. Dutch Foreign Minister Bert Koenders said he's relatively optimistic about the plan's success.
It's difficult for all the people here because, of course, they still have to wait for the asylum procedure, but everybody gets one, so that is, I think, very positive.
The ministers are scheduled to visit Turkey later on Sunday.
Viewers, quake with a magnitude of 6.6 struck South Asia on Sunday, shaking buildings in Pakistan, Afghanistan and India. Witnesses and the U.S. Geological Service said and injuring several people in at least one Pakistani city. The USGS and say the quake was centered about 40 km west of Askasam in remote northwestern Afghanistan, close to the border with Tajikistan and just across a narrow finger of land from Pakistan's northwestern Chiral province. The USGS said the quake was centered about 40 km west of Ashkasham in remote northwestern Afghanistan, close to the border with Tajikistan and just across a narrow finger of land from Pakistan's northwestern Chitral province. It was measured at a depth of 210 km. Residents left their homes in Kabul and Islamabad when the quake struck, with buildings swaying for more than a minute in both capitals. Similar reports were received from across northern and central Pakistan. In Pakistan's northwestern frontier city of Peshawar, Khalid Khan, emergency director in the city's main Lady Reading Hospital, said 3 people were treated for multiple injuries. Many nations are pushing for swift ratification of a Paris Agreement to slow climate change and lock it in place for 4 years before a change in the White House next year that might bring a weakening of Washington's long-term commitment. More than 130 nations with 60 leaders, including French President François Hollande, are due to sign December's pact at a UN ceremony in New York on April 22nd, the most ever for a UN agreement on an opening day. The United Nations said both China and the United States, the world's top emitters counting together for 38% of emissions, have promised to sign then. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is expected to attend, but signing is only a step in tortuous UN process for the deal to enter into force, which requires formal approval by at least 55 nations representing 55% of man-made greenhouse gas emissions. Viewers, now the entertainment news. Britain's Duke and Duchess of Cambridge kick off their week-long tour in India with an evening of Bollywood after a day of charitable events. After an event filled with day to start their week-long trip in India, which included visits to the slums where they played sport with yet Britain's Prince William and his wife Kate, winded down with a night among the stars at a Bollywood gala. The royal couple, travelling with their children George and Charlotte, attend the Bollywood-inspired gala amid speculation that Kat may appear in a sari that the top Indian fashion designer. From here, they will continue their tour, which will include a visit to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. They will also pay a visit to the Taj Mahal, a favourite place of Prince William's late mother, Princess of Diana. Nobody can beat the boss at the box office this week as the team not just spots Batman vs Superman for the top spot.
My way back, we are going to start a brownie empire and teach.
No one can knock down the boss this week, film included.
Get in there, go for the aggressive girls.
The R-rated comedy made $23.5 million in North American ticket sales this weekend, just scraping by second place, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice.
My name is Michelle Darnell.
Melissa McCarthy's character Michelle is starting a brownie empire, and she's fighting the good fight to succeed.
God versus man.
Weeks after their big global debut, the dynamic duo Batman vs Superman have fallen one spot on the chart. But like true superheroes, these larger-than-life characters have added $23.4 million to the film's grand total of $296.7 million. And just like the boss, their battle for victory is not over.
They're all sloths?
Zootopia and its cast of critters are holding on tight, banking another $14.4 million this weekend. Tickets have been selling faster than these sloths can move. After 6 weeks, the film has earned $296.2 million, and that's serving filmmakers well.
Officer Judy Happ, CPD, how are you?
Celebrities including Charlize Theron, Jessica Chastain, Cara Delevingne, and Chris Pratt walked the red carpet for the MTV Movie Awards in Los Angeles. Models mingled with actors on the red carpet for the annual MTV Movie Awards in Los Angeles on Saturday night. Delighted fans screamed as Victoria's Secret model Gigi Hadid, Cara Delevingne, and Kendall Jenner arrived at the event, which was also attended by Hollywood actress Charlize Theron, Jessica Chastain, and Chris Pratt. Unlike previous years, the show was held at the Warner Bros. Studios in Burbank and will be aired on Sunday, April 10th. Viewers, now the sports news. Englishman Danny Willett took advantage of a shocking back-nine meltdown by defending champion and runaway leader Jordan Spieth to win his first major title by 3 shots at the Masters on Sunday. 3 strokes behind the pace-setting Spieth going to the final round at Augusta National and Ice Pool, Willett closed with a 5-under par 67 to end a 17-year title drought by European golfers at the year's opening measure. Willett, a 4-times winner on the European Tour, competing on his second Masters, birdied 3 of the last 6 holes to cap off a bogey-free display in sandbath but cool conditions and post a 500 total of 283. He became only the second Englishman to win the coveted green jacket, following 3-times champion Nick Faldo, and ended a barren title run by Europeans dating back to Spaniard Jose Maria Olzabal's second victory here in 1999. Will Smith, a prominent member of the New Orleans Saints team that won an NFL Super Bowl in 2010, was killed by a gunman who shot a retired football player after roaming his Scar City near the city's famed French Quarter, police said on Sunday.
Officials say former New Orleans Saints footballer Will Smith, number 91, was killed in a barrage of gunfire on Saturday night. His wife Raquel was reportedly wounded in the shooting, which police say happened after a minor traffic collision in the Garden District of New Orleans. The police report, which did not specifically mention names, said the victims were driving their Mercedes when it was rear-ended by a Hummer. Police say after an exchange of words, the driver of the Hummer shot the couple multiple times. The alleged shooter is in custody, according to police, who also say a gun was recovered. Smith spent 9 seasons with the Saints, including their Super Bowl victory in 2010.
Viewers, let's have a look at Millennium TV News Recap. Sanders takes aim at rivals in battle for New York. Trump, the system is corrupt. Clinton, women, minorities don't deserve to be cheated. U.S. Navy officer charged with spying possibly for China, Taiwan. Residents return to Ramadi, Syria. You are up to date with the top stories so far here on Millennium TV, and don't forget to log into www.millenniumtv.net. Thank you and stay with Millennium TV. Allah Hafiz.